Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Wednesday, the 7th of January. Starting with the FTSE 100, which did what we wanted it to do. It actually hit yesterday, hit the top of that channel there, the black channel there from February, right on the nose, 10,150. We come back a bit, but who cares? We're above 10,000. I suppose the most obvious support at the moment around the 99.60 level. That's the floor of that rising red channel there from October, if you see what I mean. And an end of day close through 10,150, then we could be accelerating within that channel up to 10,500. We were looking for that by the end of next month, and I suppose at the moment that's a fair place to look for. Interesting that nobody's called me on the FTSE hitting 10,000 from the mainstream media, even though this is one of the first places where it was mentioned, and even the timing was mentioned as well. I think we're already a day out. In fact, looking for 10,000 by the end of last year. In fact, we got it on the first session of this year. Moving along to the DAX, and here it's been a situation where we finally broke out of the range that we were in over the course of the May to December period. In fact, this market keeps on trucking above 24,700, the old October resistance. We are looking for the top of that rising trend channel from April as high as 25,800. Suppose at the current rate of progress, that could even happen by the end of this month, although we've been rather more conservative in looking for that by the end of next month. The rally here started with the rising 50-day line, the break of that October resistance line around 24,100, and then the RSI 50 rebound, which was, I suppose, the best indicator of the lot, and is a unique one in terms of what I've seen other chartists or technical analysts do. 50 and 200-day lines both rising as well in parallel, which is the equivalent of a golden cross. Moving along to the Dow, and here the aftermath of the Venezuela situation has obviously done this market a lot of good. Obviously, all the lefties saying it was horrible, all the people on the right saying it's wonderful. The market obviously goes by pounds and shillings and dollars and cents and everything else. So here you can see that we've also hit the top of that channel, in this case from February up to 49,500. We were looking for that by the end of last month. The July resistance line projection is heading for 50,100, which is our target, hopefully by the end of this month, while we will remain above recent broken resistance of 48,700. The other point to note is that there have been four RSI 50 rebounds since the beginning of last month, almost like a record situation. We had a lot, obviously, in September. Didn't quite work out as well as we are doing at the moment, but you get the picture. I think the RSI 50 rebounds tend to be the best, even better than the ones higher up in the scale. If there is any rug pull, then the 50-day line, 47,600, would be the destination. But as you can see, since the end of November, we've managed to bounce well above that. Onto the cryptos, which have had a better start to the year than they ended the year, which I suppose is a relief considering that it was an autumn to forget for many of the cryptos, including Bitcoin. We've had a push through to November-December resistance around 94,000 and come back, which is rather disappointing. But at least while we're above the 50-day line, there at 89,000, looking for not only 95, but also as high as 106 is a best case scenario target. I suppose by the end of this month, although the way we fall back as we are doing at the moment and have another test of the 50-day line, might be by the end of next month. Worst case at this stage is a test of the October 2024 uptrend line there at 85,000 for this market, and today's 2% fall. Clearly not a very good look. Moving on to the situation at Ethereum, and here it was and has been a case of trying to stay above the 3,000 level. Here we've got a rising 50-day line, 3016. Above that, we've been looking for the 200-day moving average area around 3,600, maybe up to that October resistance line, 37. But we need to stay above that 50-day line in order to get there by the end of this month, or maybe by next month. Worst case is the April uptrend line there from last year, 2867 at the moment. Moving on to gold, and here we've had obviously a great run and continue to have a great run for this market. A bit of a wobble at the turn of the week, but you can see that we are back in business with a 50-day moving average rebound test. I suppose anybody who was ambitious enough to have an order at that 50-day line would have done rather well already, up $250, $260. That at 42.03, and obviously we broke the floor of the channel there around 42.80, but above 42.80 now, looking for the top of the channel there, 47.60, hopefully by the end of this month. But interesting that we did have a dip down to the 50-day line, which was the first time since August. But just a classic rug pull. Obviously, the market's been rather too easy for people betting on gold, silver, etc., copper. So a bit of a rug pull was in order. Moving on to the stocks, and starting off with Arc Minerals, which I'm told by a follower on X that has actually did hit a previous target. Hopefully we'll see what that is with my slow broadband that I have today. Here you can see that we had that triangle target there, so 0.6, above 0.6, looking for the shares to fill the gap up to 1.05, and also hit that resistance line there from February last year at the same level. That's just above the 200-day line. But the key here is staying above 0.6. Obviously, we've fallen back 10% today, which is a little bit painful. Moving on to CleanTech, which seems to be starting the year as it means to go on. Decent news flow and a financial advisor in the mix as well from memory on the RNSs. Here you can see that we're up another 10%. We've been looking for, we're up 4% now, but we're looking for 10 pence, hopefully by the end of this month, which looks as though it will be achievable, even if there's a bit of profit taking on the way up. Ideally, we stay on the right side of 7.5 pence, which was the resistance at the beginning of the week. Moving on to Eden, which has already been insulted by the shorting conspiracy, but it looks as though the shares are on their way even before today's announcement. Little bull flag breakout and gap through the 200-day line was actually a good RNS today, a serious one, and above the 200-day line there, looking for the top of the range. 4.2 pence perhaps as soon as the end of this month. Ideally, we stay above the floor of the gap there at 2.75 pence. Whatever happens, that includes, I suppose, fundraisers. Moving on to one of my favorites in recent days, which I've been looking at and charting like a broken record. Wasn't quite sure why. Had a punchy call here. The punchy call was that even below 10 pence, at the start of the week was looking for 20 pence. Even punchier call, which was mentioned yesterday, was that we would hit the old resistance there from October last year. In fact, that was around 35 pence to high today, 34.5 pence. So pretty good stuff. Still looking for the 35 pence area while we're above the old resistance there from April last year, as high as 25 pence. So above 25, still looking for 35 on Galantas. Moving on to another interesting situation, which is Mercantile ports. And here the interest is that we've gapped off the low after a sideways shuffle. We've also had bullish divergence, so a series of lower lows for September, October, November, December. The RSI staying the same at the 10 level. Current situation is that above the 50-day line at 0.49, we're looking for an easy move up towards the 200-day moving average at 0.93, maybe even up to 1.16 pence in the top of that gap by the end of next month. So it is a punchy call here. It's basically a bear trap island reversal, so gapping down in September and gapping up. That tends to be a very strong setup, given the way that it would be catching the bears out quite painfully, hopefully. Moving on to Oracle Power, which seems to have settled into being a northern zone gold play. We've got resistance there at, in Australia that is, we've got resistance there from October, 0.04. End of day close above that, we're looking at 0.07. Quite snappily, if we can do that. Obviously, it might never happen, but 50-day line is rising and decent price action so far today. We've had a lot of consolidation in the recent past. So barring any fundraisers here, we will break out. And obviously, gold being back on the uptrend helps this situation as well. Only back below the recent support there, 0.03, really delaying the upside scenario. We've got Panther next, and always reminded of Darren Hazelwood on this one. Cheeky chappy and everything. Here we bounced off a rising 200-day line there at 61 pence. Above that, looking for the top of that falling trend channel at 89 pence as soon as the end of this month. You can see that we've also had an RSI 50 rebound there, in fact 50 plus rebound, and we also got the chance of the 50-day line rising. We look closely at that. Actually, it's already rising, so it looks like we're going to golden cross. So golden cross, 200-day line rebound, unfilled gap to the upside, RSI 50 rebound, all looking very good for Panther, especially when you look at the gap down that we had in October. So this is, in theory, a bear trap on reversal as well. Very strong setup. Speaking of strong setups, we've got Richmond Hill next, and here you can see that it's hit our target there. A lot of shares hitting our targets at the moment. 2.3 pence the first target. Next target was 3.5 pence. Looking for that by the end of this month. We're helped along by the way that we've had unfilled gaps to the upside. At least two of them last month, and 50 and 200-day lines rising like homesick angels at the moment. Moving on to stock which is rather more intriguing, and it comes in the form of Revolution Beauty. Here we've hit the we're about to hit the first target there, top of the channel there, 4.1 pence. Next one will be 5.1 pence, the upper parallel of that rising trend channel from September. Looking at that by the end of next month, while we're above the old November resistance there, 3.4 pence on an end of day close basis. You can see we've had multiple RSI bounces above the neutral, at and above the neutral 50 level, and multiple share price bounces above a rising 50-day line. That tends to be a very strong signal from memory. I think that was what we had at Galantas, and that was the reason that there was such enthusiasm about the share price prospects. Yes, we had a sort of sideways shuffle above a rising 50-day line, so that did the trick. Moving along to a stock which I haven't looked at for a bit, and here, if I can type it out properly, is RC365. Here you can see that we've got a bit of a consolidation, resting near the October resistance 1.6 above that, looking at the top of the range to 3 pence by the end of next month or even sooner, especially if we've got the 50 and 200-day lines both rising as we do at the moment. This could be the year of Reabold Resources. Obviously, there have been many years where it hasn't been the year of Reabold Resources. I would say probably about 10 years, something like that, 10, 11 years, maybe 19 to 20, or 2019 was a good year. But after that, in fact, even that finished rather badly. So above the 0.06 level, looking for the shares to hit the top of a triangle there from April 2024 as high as 0.09, looking for that by the end of this month. Would be quite amazing if we get that. Be the first proper rally we've had in the shares for a long time. Got the 50 and 200-day lines both rising, and we've had support above that rising 50-day line. So it looks as though this time we're on our way, especially as we haven't had a one-day wonder rally and then sell-off, which we normally have for that stock. One of the least famous names on the stock market is RC Fomax, and here you can see that even though it's not that famous, we are approaching our first target there at 14 pence. That came after a gap close buy signal that we had, amongst other things, at 10 pence, and also the shares consolidating above a rising 50-day line. So I'm looking for a big move here, 21 pence, maybe as soon as the end of this month. Obviously, that could be by the end of next month. That's the 200-day line at the top of the triangle there from October. Ideally, we stay above recent broken resistance at 10 and 3/4 pence, whatever happens. Sealand is next, and here we have a situation where we are, so we're revving up for a move to the upside. We obviously had the spike to start the week up to 0.85, and actually above the 200-day line at 0.47. That's what we're looking for by the end of this month, or even sooner. You can see the triangle target there at 0.6, which obviously would be nice anyway. On to Sareum, which I'm hoping will be the new Galantas. I'm not quite sure on what basis that would happen, but was spotted yesterday as a consolidation above a rising 50-day line and also an RSI 50 plus rebound. So we're up 12% today, looking for 30 pence by the end of this month, while we're above the top of the old gap there at 19 pence. Finishing off with ValiRx, where somebody on X seems to be completely obsessed by this stock. They may be right. We're obviously quite keen on it as well. End of day close above the gap there at 0.47. Today could be enough to get us straight up to the 0.75 pence level by the end of this month. Or if you're obviously conservative, looking for that by the end of next month. The only barrier at the moment, really, the 200-day line at 0.5 pence. But looks as though bouncing off, multiple bounces off RSI 50 and bouncing off a falling 50-day line is a show of strength, especially while we stay above recent broken resistance at 0.43. That's it from me today. More updates tomorrow.